Welcome, Aquarius, to your Uranus Kazimi 1 year forecast for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. For the first time in 78 years, the sun in Gemini applies in an exact, precise conjunction with Uranus. They're unified, and Uranus is in the disk of the sun, a Kazimi, and the raw power and radiance of the sun pours its energy into Uranus, animating its very best qualities. It provides a return that can guide us all for the next year. But what does it mean for you personally, Aquarius? I'm going to share the event chart, all the other planetary influences too. And by the end of the video, you'll have a clear understanding of what the next year holds in terms of your energy, work, relationships, and finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. So on the screen, we can see the duo at 1 degree and 30. And this is particularly significant because they're so early. They're within the first 2.5 degrees of the sign of Gemini, the first dwarf, which has a very mercurial vibe. So that adds extra spark and vivaciousness. So that's really exciting in itself. But we also have the ruler of the sign of Gemini, Mercury, in residency too, forging a stunning link with your traditional ruler, Saturn. So although the Sun and Uranus can be very much together about egging each other on to do things different and fresh, Uranus is essentially about pursuing our higher truth and purpose. It's your co-regent, and it can be to do with innovation and being progressive, but it's also a very instinctive influence. And therefore, over the next year, because both of this duo are in your fifth house, which can be about showcasing your unique talent and charisma, but it can be about being playful. And also, Mercury being in the fifth house can be particularly mischievous. I can tell you that your social life and your sense of fun are really amped up. So, this is glorious after those tough Uranus through Taurus 7 years, which were really torturous at times. So, there's a lot of bubbliness around this event. But the fifth house can also be about where we socialize, and Uranus can be about perhaps freeing us from situations that have become stale. So if you're not really finding a lot of enjoyment in the things you've been doing recently, it is time to try to reinvigorate it. But that may mean through challenging yourself. And Uranus can mean letting go of things we may be a bit attached to, but by stepping out and doing something in a quick, perhaps more spontaneous way, we liberate ourselves, but also can receive much more sparkling responses. So truly exciting for you. It really is. The other thing I notice about this chart, however, is the moon, the other luminary from the sun, is in your sector of relating and in the very warm-hearted Leo. Now, the moon's not in a popular aspect to these guys, but I would say the moon in Leo could make you quite attuned to people this year in a skillful way. Is in a lovely semi-sextile to the position of Jupiter. But what the moon is in a lovely link to the path of fortune. Path of fortune is often thought of as almost like a secondary ascendant. So, because that's in your 11th house, you have a natural kinship for 11th house energy. It has an echo of Aquarius. It's futuristic, a bit like Uranus, but also it's around friendships. So you could find certain alliances this year just take on even more uh, vivaciousness, because that's what I feel Gemini is. Yes, it's a restless, mutable sign. Yes, it can be perhaps a little bit bored easily. And maybe some people would say it can be perhaps a bit insincere. But I think in that fifth house, which also leans into that moon position in Leo, it is about warmth, it's about affection, but I think it's about having the confidence to express it. So when it comes to your social situation, I see great things ahead. When it comes to your professional situation, if you have felt for uh, in times in the past that some of your progressive ideas have not been adopted because people just don't seem to get onto them. I think you've got a much greater chance of being in vogue, whether your ability to predict trends around fashion, music, food, just general mores that people are drawn to, that's going to be really turned up to max. Not least because the instinctive energies of Neptune link so well with these guys. So you can have some fantastic conversations over the next year. I really do believe so. Now, we also have Mars in your home sign or home house of the fourth house, and it's in a link with Venus. If there is something that's been delayed in terms of where you live, home improvement project, some construction work, maybe refitting something, redecoration, you just want to remodel things, you can do so in a very imaginative way, but also get the job done solidly because of Mars's link to Venus. That can also be very good if you're a home worker or you have your own business. What's more challenging, to be honest, is that Pluto, just being with you full time for about a year and a half now, is in a ferocious clash with Mars and in a telling quincunx with Venus. So when it comes to that part of you that can be, very, very forward thinking, sometimes the power of your expression may be difficult for other people to receive. And this could, if you have a flatmate that you find a bit tricky to get along with, or perhaps uh, in a family relationship, things don't always run smoothly. There can be some sparks and tension. Also, just know that with Neptune in a square with Venus, that's a really tricky influence indeed. Because, say, for example, you're talking to someone that may be at work and they really seem to be very lovely, Venus in Cancer, very, very alluring and very nurturing, but actually that person may end up not delivering. So, we all know of the concept of ghosting. Neptune, I would imagine, is the planet par excellence of ghosting, suddenly disappearing in vapors. So just be conscious of being a bit protective. Ironically, if we go back to the last event in 1948, Venus was in Cancer then too, and in a square with Neptune, but at that time it was in the opposite sign to where it is now of Libra. It's just coming back here. And Jupiter, we haven't mentioned yet. So Jupiter can be about work, and right through to the end of June, it's going to make some brilliant links, not least to Venus and also to Mercury. So just know through the first week of June, some good things could be coming about a job application. But I think that part of you that gets a bit conflicted between, do you stick with what you're familiar with because you're a fixed sign, and also you're quite a traditionalist in your own quiet way, and or do you actually reveal that part of you that can be very different, that sometimes you found people haven't been very accepting of, and that may have affected your confidence about having uh, the wherewithal to try things and shock and awe. I think you should go for it, because one of the things you can do this year is make people laugh. And even if they don't always get it, don't take yourself too seriously, but then they're more likely to take you a lot more seriously. The only other thing to tell you about is money, because the North Node through to the end of July, the true North Node, is asking you to keep being cautious about your foundational finance. The South Node's in a part of your chart which could make you a bit more attracted to, getting everything perfect in your life, or, putting the pennies away. I think this trio are asking you to live in the moment like never before, but they do clash the Sun and Uranus in a T square. So if you are tempted to be a bit more impulsive with your resources, particularly on speculative things, I would proceed more carefully. So I'm going to summarize those four areas for you now, Aquarius. When it comes to relationships, the fifth house energy of the Sun and Uranus and Mercury suggests you need a lot of stimulation and vivacious exchanges. But if you meet someone who you really fancy, which can be the very much the fifth house, they also make you laugh, but you don't quite know where you are with them. That might not quite work for you, but give it a bit of a go. But if you're really getting mixed signals, I would proceed with a little caution. But I think the moon in the seventh house, if you're in an existing relationship, will give you a desire for stability. But that doesn't mean to say you should give away what you really need just to avoid what could be an awkward or painful decoupling, a conscious decoupling or uncoupling, because Uranus in that fifth house might suggest you do need to perhaps break out and start again and have the confidence to do something fresh and different. Your words, I feel, over the next year, if you use that sense of humor, but also showcase your brilliant ideas, but get them across in a solid way that people can relate to. So don't make them too fancy. Get right to the core of things, and that Saturn Mercury sextile is excellent. If, however, you live with someone, family member or flatmate, and you just seem to sort of wind each other up a little bit, I think that could be a little testing, that Pluto square with Mars, and just be conscious that Mars in the fourth house can be a bit reactive, and you could appear to be handling something quite well, and then it could be quite triggering something someone says. Just aware that Pluto in the first house is redefining your identity, and someone could, it feels, be attacking your emotional being. Try not to take that stuff too much to heart. Try to deflect. Take it all back to, well, hold on, this is how I'm going to do this, which is going to be that much more dazzling, vivacious, and fun. So, that final summary, I think as far as finances are concerned, don't be too free and easy with them too quickly. Don't be too generous with someone you meet quickly. You could have several connections throughout this next year. It won't be a dull moment. If you're really looking for a more sustained relationship, I think if you if you can give each other a little bit of space, I don't think that's a bad thing. And the moon in the seventh house looks encouraging for that. As far as your energy is concerned, Saturn in the third house and Uranus on the sun does point towards some nervousness at times, getting a bit wired up. So we all need to practice it, getting that light out early, taking those breaths, just escaping the hubbub of all the information that's being bombarded in our direction. But I think generally Jupiter in the sixth house looks good for your physical vitality too. Just to say, you can download your free Uranus factoid, all about the astronomy, the mythology, and the astrology, including Uranus in each of the 12 zodiac signs and each of the 12 houses. Please see below for more. I've slashed the price of my personal horoscope reports. It's now 3 for the price of 1. The one you pay for is your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that are played out in our lives so far, but get a more intimate understanding of them and how we can work better with those energies future forwards. The free charts is your 12-month transits forecast, totally unique to each person, but also your draconic soul analysis. So that's 3 for the price of 1. Please see below for more. I've been doing this full-time for 30 years, but I first became interested in astrology when I was 14. I really want to share about natal astrology to as many people as possible. So if you've yet to watch my deep dive of moon magic for May, which goes into each of the 5 lunations of the month, please see that on the screen. If you've yet to watch your monthly general forecast for May, that's on the screen as well. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it would be an absolute pleasure. Please check out my testimonials below. And also, have you taken advantage of my free daily horoscope? Fire to your device each morning, get your early day celestial pit stop for your ascendant, your sun, your moon, whoever you want to read it for. Please see below for more. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Aquarius. All the best, and look forward to seeing you again soon.